Hello everyone, here in this video I'm going to show you how to extract report output from Fusion using PLSQL. You can use any database of Oracle, be it database on-premise, DBAS, database as a service, or ATP, Autonomous Transaction Processing Database. So let's look at the logic. First, you need to prepare the SOAP request message, which is XML in nature for the report service. Then you have to invoke the report service, receive the SOAP response, which is also XML post invocation, parse that SOAP response to get base64 encoded text, CLOB basically, character large object from report bytes element, decode the base64 encoded text to convert it into a file. File type depends on the attribute format that you pass in the SOAP request message. In our case, it is XML. So it will be converted to XML file, blob basically, binary large object. Read the XML blob content and write to XML CLOB content, the actual data, the actual XML file. Create an XML table, not the database table, of course, based on the XML CLOB content that we have derived at step 6. Iterate through each row, derive column values against each columns in each row and insert or merge into the respective columns of the database table. So let's take a look at the code. You can see the code here. This is an anonymous block that I have written. I have defined all the variables. So this is my wisdom that I have to put in without question mark wisdom keyword. This is the action or the operation run report that we have to use. This is the payload that we have created and we are going to use it. All the variables are declared over here. So you can see Apex Web Service is the API that we have used here, and this is the second step. As you can see, the first step, the prepare SOAP request message, which is nothing but I have defined in this variable. Receive the SOAP response post invocation. So here is the response variable LXML, and I'm going to parse that. So basically the fourth step, the parse the response and get the report bytes and whatever text inside the report bytes element. Once I receive that, then I need to decode that base64 to a file. So that's what is done, decode the base64 encoding to a file blob. So this is the code that is doing that. Next, I have to convert that blob to XML CLOB, the actual data. So this piece of code is doing that, basically converting the blob to exact actual XML data. Since the attribute format is XML, that's why XML. Here you go. Here it is, right? So you can see the XML variable here. And if it is CSV, then you will have to get the CSV there. Then with that XML, I'm using XML table basically to get that XML into an XML table and then get the extract value using the XPath expressions, right? And then I'm using the merge to insert or update. So in order to run this, basically we have to create this table. Let's quickly create this table in the database. Let's copy the table script. Let's go to SQL Developer. I'll use ADB user, paste it and execute. So the table is created. Now let me open another editor for ADB user. Here you go. Let me copy the anonymous block, paste it over here. Let me enable the DBMS output. Click on view and here you go, DBMS output. Click on this plus icon, select for ADB user, click OK. Now let me execute this anonymous block. Alright, so you can see the data inserted or updated, all the checkpoints are printed. Let's go back to the other tab to query that database table, xx underscore gl underscore periods. Alright, so you can see the data of ledger, the period, status, and the last updated is inserted into this database table. Now there is one tip. At times your data might not get inserted because of this date format. So for that you should be careful about the NLS date parameter or NLS setup that is done at your SQL developer level. So to check that setup, go to Tools, Preferences, and go to Database. Under that you should have the NLS. Here you should be careful about the date format. So for my case it is DDMMRR and the language is English, territory is India. So you have to be careful about the date format and the timestamp format. You have to set it accordingly, and then you will have to just format the date while inserting or in the report in the data module. And that's how we extract the report output from Fusion using PLSQL and insert the data into the database table. Thank you.